All right, after we have those ones, we can also have something that is also more than one line that meets in the middle. So we could have something that looks like this. Sorry, this won't stay up for me. Now as a separate example, if we look at this one right here, draw that line just to kind of separate them a little bit. Looking at this, angle 1 and angle 3, they appear to be across from each other, but it does not work for vertical angles. These two would not necessarily be the same measure. These two are the only two that are directly across from each other. So it might look like this one has a lot of possibilities to have a lot of different vertical angles, but it does not. Those are the only two that share the middle vertex that would for sure be the same angle. So we can say angle 1 and angle 4. We could also have one where we name multiple create a line straight through an X. That's how I created that. I did it backwards. I did the line and then I created the X. But either way, it all intersects right in the middle. And then we have angles A, B, C, D, E, F, and the middle vertex I'm going to label as G. So we're going to go A, B, C, D, E, F, and this middle vertex right here, I'm going to label as G. I just went in alphabetical order there. Now angle AGB. AGB. This angle right here. I'm going to look for one that's adjacent to it. If I'm looking at it and looking at it, I'm going to say that DGE is the one that's adjacent to it. Angle AGB and angle DGE. The vertex is always in the middle, and for here they have the same vertex, and they're straight across from each other. Excuse me. We also have AGF and DGC. AGF and angle DGC. Those ones, once again, they have a vertex in the middle and they're straight across from each other. And then there's one more. This one right here, F, G, E. And angle C, G, B. Kind of confusing a little bit, but these are all straight across from each other, here, here, and here. Boom, boom, boom. Those are all examples of different vertical angles, different ways you may see vertical angles. Some that do not have any vertical angles. We have something that looks the same as this first one up here. There are some angles in there that are not vertical. So angle 1, there are sets of angles that are not vertical. Angle 1 and angle 2, angle 2 and angle 3, angle 3 and angle 4, angle 4, and angle 1. If you take a look at these ones, you'll notice that they are the same ones that we said are adjacent angles. So adjacent angles and vertical angles are never the same thing. Adjacent angles and vertical angles are never the same thing. We could also have something that looks a little bit different, but it would be a non-example if we have a straight line. And then we have something that comes off kind of crooked up here, and kind of crooked and not quite straight across down here. They still share that vertex. You can tell by looking at these two angles that they are not the same. There are no vertical angles in this example. One more non-example here. If we have something that looks like this, there are no vertical angles in that. There are only supplementary angles in that. Speaking of supplementary angles, that's what we are going to move on to. This is our fourth and final one here. Supplementary angles. Examples and non-examples. Some examples of supplementary angles are as follows. This is actually the one that was our non-example, our last non-example for vertical angles. So I think we can conclude that sometimes, most of the time, supplementary angles and vertical angles will never be the same. If a non-example for the other one is an example for this one, I think we can conclude that they're not the same. Right now, if we make a 50-degree angle, line it up here, mark my 50, connect it. The next one that I create line it up, should be 130 degrees. Now mine goes off the paper a little bit, so I'm going to mark it with my whiteboard marker. So we have our 50 degrees. Line it up. 130 degrees. Line that one up. And 30 degrees and 50 degrees. Even though these don't touch, they do not intersect, they are still supplementary because they still equal, the sum of the two angles equals 180 degrees. Now, if we look at another one of those that has the two lines that intersect. We have these two lines that intersect, and now we're going to label them. As 3, 4, 5, and 6. We have our 1 and 2 up here, so we should have our 3, 4, 5, and 6 down here. If we look at it right here, angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary. Angles 4 and 5 angle 5 and 6, and then angles, angle 6, angle 6 and angle 7. Sorry, 6 and 3. Wow, Mrs. Winsley's brain. There is no angle 7, 6 and 3. We look, we can see that because 3 and 4, this angle and this angle, they are not the same. Remember I said that if we cover up the line that intersects and it is a straight angle, we have this straight angle right here, that straight angle equals 180 degrees, so we know if we add them together, they're going to be 180 degrees. You can do the same thing here. You can do it again right here. You can do it again up here. And you can just keep going around and covering up the rays, and we can see that we can make a straight angle. And we can also have one that's 117. We can just have numbers. 117 degrees and 63 degrees. When those two are added together, they also equal 180 degrees. Now, some non-examples. One would be the Y shape that we had. We do not have any angles that add together to make 180 degrees. Another would be if we had a right angle. If we had a right angle, even if it was intersected. So supplementary angles and complementary angles are not the same thing either. They can never be. And then if we have this crisscross shape again, once again, this one does not, we didn't have angle measures for all of them, but we can still tell just by looking at these angles if we go based off of the definition. angles 3 and 5, and then angles 6 and 4 are non-examples. They are things of what supplementary angles are not. And then finally, two numbers that do not add up. Now I just chose some random ones. If you check and add them together and they do not add up to 180 degrees, there is no way that it could be a supplementary angle. Now you will notice that some of these do overlap. Supplementary angles could also be, well, vertical angles are straight across, but supplementary angles could also be congruent, or sorry, adjacent angles. Because this could be a straight line that gets intersected. They share a line, they share a vertex. Right here, if we look at our first example, shares a line, shares a vertex. We could have supplementary adjacent angles. So some of them do overlap, and that is okay. They could have more than one name. I want you to go through these charts now and see if you can find out another one that would be both. Once you've done that, please write it down on the bottom of the front page of your packet and bring it up to me and show me.